This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
On this episode of Bantha Milk Podcast, I don't seem to remember no At-Atten.
You lie.
Intro music.
Hunting is a complicated profession.
Yes, it is.
It is indeed. How are you, Rob?
Indeed. I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing all right. We're Bantha Milk Podcast. We're back at you live.
Yeah.
If you're watching this live. If you're not watching or listening to this live, then we are not back at you live. We're back at you at a later date.
At a later date. Some other day.
But we are here right now live.
Here.
And we're ready to talk.
We're ready.
Yet another episode 4 of Skeleton Crew. I think it's pronounced Skeleton.
Skeleton. That's the French version.
It's the long A.
The long
It's got the line over top, the umlaut A.
Yep.
So yeah, and it's getting cold outside. You can tell because it's a little dreary out there, and Rob's beard has made its return again.
It's coming in because we got to protect my face for the winter
from the harsh elements.
From the harsh elements here in New Jersey. Either that or the drones. They can X-ray through. I don't want them to see my face.
No. You look up at the drones. They look down at you. They go, "That's not Rob. That's some man.
That's
with
some
a beard.
other man with a beard. I have no idea who that is."
Disengage. Abort mission.
Abort.
Anyway, Bantha Milk Podcast.
Yes,
we're
that's
here.
us. We are here.
Here to talk about Goonies.
Goonies in space.
What do you think of the episode?
Ooh, I liked it. It was fun. Not as many Easter eggs. There was definitely a part that they could have said one of the most classic 80s lines of all time, and when we get there, I will definitely enunciate that.
Ready for it.
But yeah, it's still fun. I think, just like what I was thinking before, we're going to be jumping around from planet to planet to planet, but I think this set up why we're going from planet to planet and what the planet to planets are. It's good story building, and this week was also fun because we got a little deep dive on Neil, our little blue elephant friend.
Yeah, they definitely leaned into, like you said, a deep dive into the psyche of our small blue elephantine creature.
Yes.
And I did like that. They peeled him apart like an onion and exposed all the layers.
That's exactly what they did. Like Shrek.
That's right.
Ogres have layers.
Yes. Like parfait.
Parfait. And so do blue elephant people.
Yeah, man.
Things. I also have later on deep dive about him as well for you. So there we go. I know you're very excited about that.
I am.
Let's talk about all of our friends over on
so
Ears
Steve
Up.
over. Oh, Ears Up. I thought you just
not
wanted me to
those
talk about
friends,
All right.
silly goose. Ears Up. Last night, if you go to Twitch, you can see the show that we recorded last night on Ears Up. Every Christmas, they do letters to Santa Iger, asking for nice things for Christmas from Santa Claus, from Santa Iger. So I was on.
That's Bob Iger, for those of you not in the know.
Bob Iger, the head of the Walt Disney Company.
Yeah.
Our good friend RGH from Puny Pod, which is one of the other shows on the network. He was on as well.
Good.
Eric was there, of course, because Eric's on almost every other show on the network.
On the Ears Up a Sphere.
On the Ears Up a Sphere, including Ears Up. Jason and Taryn, we all wrote our letters to Santa Iger, and then they're on West Coast time. So after we read our letters, I left, and then they continued on. But
were you a good boy this year? Do you think that Santa Iger will give you what you asked for?
I doubt it, but
What did you ask for?
I asked for him to make all the shows that they promised us and didn't deliver. All the Star Wars shows that they promised us and didn't deliver. I also asked for, I really hope we get this, Star Wars the musical.
Oh, I'm honestly amazed we don't have that.
We
got a Harry Potter musical.
We have Harry Potter. We have Back to the Future.
Yeah.
We
have Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice. There was Corn the musical with a C.
Like a musical about corn?
About corn, yeah.
Not like a musical about Corn the band.
No, not the band.
With a K.
Yeah, with a K, no.
All right.
There was an
I would watch
Alanis
either, by the way.
Morissette musical. Trey went and saw the Corn musical. It was a comedy because I think it has to be. If you're
I don't
gonna
know. I don't know how you make a drama Corn musical.
So,
Siskel and Ebert say, "Well, you won't leave without a tear in your eye." I don't know.
That's right. I don't know about that. But he enjoyed it. So
Siskel and Ebert, that was a real throwback.
That was a throwback.
I don't think anyone even knows who Siskel and Ebert is anymore. Are both of them dead?
I know one of them is. I think
Ebert died a long
time ago. I don't even know if Siskel. I think
Roper.
Siskel might still.
It was Siskel and Roper, right?
Oh,
that was the next guy.
That was the next guy who took over for Ebert. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they did the thumbs though.
They did 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
So I asked for a couple of things like that. Whatever. I thought it was fun. It was a good time. So I don't know.
You need to make sure you leave your milk and cookies out for Santa Iger.
That's right. Just in case. Let him get those milk and cookies.
Yeah, and the bag of unmarked bills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just 20,000 in yen.
And that's just a walk in the park.
That's right.
So we did that. That was fun. And I don't know when it's coming out in podcast form. Probably after this because we're posting this today. But, look for that. I did that. And so we got the Puny Pod guys. Oh, no. We got the Ears Up guys and girl. We have Scraping the Vault, which those people are dig deep into the movies, old movies, sequel movies. The Supreme Resort, they compare what's better, Disneyland or Disney World, tacos or burritos, and then us and Puny Pod. I think that's all of us. Oh, and then there's a new one, the something boys, the Buena Vista Boys, Jason and some other guy. I think his name's Mike. They do what not the Supreme Resort, but the other one, what's one that I said earlier, where they watch the old movies. These guys watch
Scraping the Vault.
Scraping the Vault. Yeah, these guys are watching old Buena Vista movies, as opposed to Scraping the Vault, which watches movies that were released directly to VHS or DVD. So all those shows on the Ears Up Network. Check them all out.
Plus, off the Ears Up Network, of course, there is Your Team Sucks
Your Team Sucks podcast, where an Eagles fan and a Cowboys fan argue about how, well, we don't really get to argue this season because the Eagles are doing a phenomenal job and the Cowboys are sucking. So, so check that out. That's me and another guy. Buddy. Yeah, I know. Whatever. Hey, it'll be a great idea. The Cowboys are really good. The Eagles are mediocre.
You picked a hell of a year to start this podcast.
I picked the worst year to start this podcast. Yeah, so we do that as well. So check that out as well. Oh, wait, what was some of the news? Oh, darn it. All right, well, there was something that I thought was really funny in the news, and now I can't remember in Star Wars news. We'll skip over that for now. But I did, last show, I was talking about the Star Wars, the Life Day cookbook that they talked about on Office Ladies. And look how thick it is, considering that the end of it was different things to fluff. They actually have quite a few recipes in here. I thought it was going to be only like 6 recipes. But no, quite a few recipes. So Nick wants me to read him a recipe, kind of like 'Twas the Night Before Christmas.
Yeah, like you have your readers on.
I have my readers on.
You got to like show it to the kids, like show the illustrations.
Hold up the little illustrations for each page. Yes. So, trying to get. Oh, I see why it's so thick. The pages are super thick. All right, we have appetizers.
It's like one of my daughter's books, where like at the very end, it's just one giant thick piece of cardboard.
Super
and you're
thick
like,
piece of cardboard. Yes. Appetizers, side dishes, main courses, desserts, drinks, or how to celebrate Life Day at home. What do you want? What category?
We're just starting out. Why don't you hit me with an appetizer?
Appetizer. Yeah. All right. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 choices. Pick a number between 1 and 10.
Okay, a number between 1 and 10. That's a tough one. So many options. I could do 6 or I could do 4.
You could.
Maybe
yeah.
3.
They're both numbers. 3 is also a number.
11's off the table.
11 is off the table.
Let's go with 8.
8. All right. So you picked crab puffs.
Ooh.
Crab puffs. Now let's think about Life Day and if there were any crabs in Life Day. I don't think there was.
Are there crabs in space?
I don't know.
Space crabs.
Space crabs. So crab puffs.
That's not something you want to get.
I know. A while back, I found myself stranded at a port on the aquatic world of Mon Cala while getting with an N apostrophe some much needed maintenance on my trusty food freighter. While I was waiting for the repairs, I ventured into a nearby watering hole and to get myself a bit more familiar with the local cuisine. After a few hours trading recipes with the joint's Mon Calamari chef, he told me about a special crab stuffed puff that his people make to celebrate Life Day. The strange secret to this nautical nibble: the tiny crabs inside the puffs were still alive.
Dum, dum, dum.
Personally, I prefer a tasty bite that doesn't bite back. So I made my own deep-fried variation. This one captures the flavor of the Mon Calamari original, but without the risk of any claws up in your craw.
Claws in your craw. You don't
Claws
want that.
in your craw. You don't want that. So, 1 pound of lump crab cake, 1 garlic clove, minced, 1 large egg, lightly beaten, 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise, 2 tablespoons of grated Parmesan cheese, 1 teaspoon lemon juice, a half a teaspoon onion powder, half a teaspoon paprika, half a teaspoon salt, quarter teaspoon black pepper, 1 cup panko breadcrumbs, 2 cups vegetable oil for frying, 1 tablespoon minced fresh parsley. Prep time, 5 minutes.
So to be clear, these are just crab cakes.
These are crab cakes.
The Star Wars. These are just crab. This is a crab cake episode.
This is crab
recipe.
cakes. Yep,
Okay.
basically that's it. Yield 12 servings. Difficulty, medium.
All right.
Yep, in a large bowl, combine the crab meat, garlic, egg, mayonnaise, Parmesan cheese, lemon juice, onion powder, paprika, salt, black pepper. Fold the mixture together until
Fold it. You gotta
fold it.
fold it.
You gotta
in.
fold it in until just combined. Scoop and roll the mixture into 1-inch balls. Place the breadcrumbs in a shallow dish. Then roll each bowl. I'd like to say bowl. Really funny. Bowl in the breadcrumbs. Set aside. In a Dutch oven. And we're not talking about that kind of Dutch oven.
Come on now, Rob.
Come
It's a
on
family
now.
show.
Over medium-high heat, heat the vegetable oil to 350, working in batches to avoid overcrowding. Add the balls and fry about for 3 minutes or until golden brown. Let the balls drain on the wire rack, then sprinkle with parsley and serve.
I feel like this is what we need to do with our TikTok.
I
right?
think
we see
so.
all these cooking things.
I think
We'll just start doing Star Wars crab cakes.
Cameron likes to cook. I think I'm going to make her cook for our TikTok.
I love
It's
that.
going to blow up.
And then you know what we can do to eat with them because it was our last day of school today before the holiday, and one of my students got me some chopsticks.
Oh, I have those also.
Yeah, I had never gotten. So like if
Yeah.
you're looking on our YouTube feed right now, I got lightsaber
chopsticks.
right? A green and a red. I didn't.
And
know
I
they
think
were
you can
different
push the
colors.
buttons and they will change colors.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I push the button and
Oh.
it turns it off. So I don't know.
Okay.
I'll have to do some more experimenting.
Yeah,
with
do
that.
some more experimenting.
But,
Because
yeah.
the ones that I had, they went through like 17 different
They're
colors.
still really,
But yeah, that's really cool though. Red and green. Downfall, because they're super smooth plastic, they're really hard to actually hold. They
Pick
slip in
anything
your
up.
hand. Yeah, and they
Yeah, I can't exactly imagine I'm going to use them as chopsticks.
no. And
but they are
also,
pretty cool.
don't put them in the dishwasher.
Yeah, I can't imagine that would be a good thing either, for sure.
They then just become clear sticks
Oh,
if
but
you
I
put
have-
them in the dishwasher.
have
But they are super cool.
two
Oh, you have
more.
2 pairs.
All right, so this is
I bet you. Oh,
that's purple. That's-
that one's.
is that- yeah, that's blue maybe,
Yeah.
and then this one is not working.
Not working.
Oh,
there
another
goes
red.
red. Okay.
All right, two reds, a blue, and a green.
There you go. Very
I'll take
cool.
it.
Well, that's awfully nice of them.
Yes,
That is very nice
my
of them.
students know me.
I am cracking open a Dr. Pepper while you drink a Red Bull.
Yeah, today's episode brought to you by caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're teachers and it's the middle of the day.
It's the middle of the day. It is. All right.
And I'm gonna take a sip of my. This gives you wings, don't you know?
It does. It gives you wings. All right. On that note, let's take a quick commercial break.
Actually, let's take a commercial break on this note. Me.
And we're back.
You like that, right? I saw you. You're like,
I was like, I'll go with this. I like it. I'll go with this. This is wonderful.
and we are back to talk about the Skeleton Crew.
The Skeleton Crew.
The crew of the skeleton, as
Yes.
it's called in Myanmar.
That's how they call it. Yeah.
I don't know that. But anyway, we already talked a little bit about how we felt. Yeah, I did like the episode. I thought I had parts of the episode. It was like ups and downs. Like I wasn't super into the child army portion of the episode.
Right.
I was kind of bored.
Yeah.
But I did like gleaning more info on Neil.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the beginning when they kind of landed at this new, what they thought was At-Atten and was not. And we're trying to figure that out. And I did like the end. I feel like a lot of stuff kind of happened. That middle section was just a little slow for me.
Yeah, I the middle section was interesting. Like, it was almost like they were sacrificing the new kids.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, no, you're going to lead the charge. Because if you die, who cares?
Yeah, and I my take on that was like, you know, the dude who was like leading his little child army. You know, it's like, you know, I don't know that he was necessarily like a bad dude, but you know, he does run a child army, so
right.
But,
he runs a child army.
You know, he found these 4 or so soldiers that just wandered in that weren't his daughter.
Yeah,
and so they were like, well, I could send my daughter in, or I could send these 4.
I could send these randos in first.
So he kind of saw them as expendable, which isn't great.
No,
but you know, it's not a great character trait. But yeah, it was a little strange.
Yeah, a little strange. All right, so let's break it down. Break it down. In the beginning, I liked it opens, obviously, you know, last episode ended with them space jumping to what they thought was going to be At-Atten. So they're in space, and this was a little weird. They zoom in on the cockpit, and what's her name? Fern says, hey, no adults in the cockpit.
That's right.
Now, suddenly the kids learn how to fly a spaceship, so they don't need the adult anymore to fly the spaceship. I'm a little confused about that because he took them to the rock, to the asteroid, because he knew how to fly. Now suddenly they don't need him anymore. I was a little confused by that statement.
Yeah, it seems like kind of a ham-fisted way for the writers to, like, at the beginning of the episode say, hey, this guy's an outsider, we don't like and trust him.
Yeah.
And so that at the end of the episode, they can be like, oh, look, he came back and helped us. We can kind of trust him.
We can start to trust him now type of thing. Yeah, it also bounces off of at the end of the last episode where she was like, no, we're not a team.
Right, you work for me.
You work for me type of thing. So Wim was sad that they were going home.
Yes.
Because he sees the planet. He's like, oh, man. Yeah. So
he was in like a little video game yesterday, shooting at X-wings with a freaking giant blaster.
Yeah.
And now he has to go back to the suburbs and like go to school.
Go back to school. So it's funny because he's thinking about this as the adventure that it is, but he has no thought that he could die at any moment.
Yeah. And that's what this I guess episode is kind of does for him. It exposes that, like, the beginning, he is this he has no idea, doesn't understand the implications of everything, and then all of a sudden he's a part of a child army, and
he's like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah.
Like his friend they even talk about that at the end of the episode, him and Wim, how she's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Or
Fern says, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah.
So yeah, no, there was some good character development. And I think that's why the middle felt slow for me, because not a lot happened, but they did spend a good amount of that time developing the characters a little better.
Yeah. So it was definitely good for that. Then the ship suddenly goes into autopilot, and they start to panic, and 33 is sitting there, and he's like, oh, I'll just cancel it, and I'll land the ship myself right next to a playground, which they walk off, and they realize this is not At-Atten.
So your immediate thoughts when they land and you see it's At-Atten, but all blown to smithereens. Did you have any thoughts, or because like I thought, like, all right, are they going to try and pull some like time travel-y stuff here where they came back and all of a sudden because of the nebula they're in a different time? I'm glad they didn't, but that's where my brain went.
My brain is thinking, okay, we have 8 episodes.
Right.
We're going to be jumping from planet to planet to planet. What these planets are, I don't know. So as soon as we landed, I was like, okay, this definitely, for a split second, I was like, oh my gosh, something happened while they were gone. Right. But then I was like, no, this is just they're on the wrong planet. Because it would have been, episode 4 is too early to get to the home planet, even if something is blown up. Like, you can't have 4 episodes of figuring out what happened to your home planet. That's like 1 episode. So I wasn't like, oh, time jump. Even like Wim said, oh, maybe we were asleep for 100 years.
Yeah, and then I did hear him say that, and I went, oh, that's right.
Yeah, and I'm like, do you remember going into a like a sleeping bed for 100. Like you would have to have put yourself into that state somehow. So then they land, and the droid 33 is like, oh, this is at Akron.
Right.
He's like, I've been here before. And the kids still were like, they run out, they go out, and I love Job, not Job, Jan,
whatever
John,
his name
whatever
is.
his name is. It's Jude Law, whatever Jude Law's name is. He was like, it tastes ashy like my home world. So what home world do you think he's from if it's ashy?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe ashy. Mandalore? I don't know. Mandalore got blown to smithereens.
Mandalore got blown to smithereens. Jod. I know it's something with a J.
Yeah, it was. You were close with Job.
Screen Crush thinks he could be referencing Mustafar, because not all of Mustafar is the lava fields where you have to have the higher ground if you want to win. The other half of Mustafar, there has been people, they've shown other clips where the rest of it is burnout and ashy like this. And apparently the Sith would take Jedi children there to train them to be Siths.
Interesting.
So if that's the case, we do know that he has some sort of force powers. So that may be a way that he could be trained in the Force, not as a Jedi, but as a Sith, but also decide that he didn't want to do that and leave.
Interesting.
So interesting. So I don't know. So it could be Mustafar. And then I liked initiating babysitting sequence.
Yes. Yeah, that was a very hysterical sequence for me.
Come
for
on,
sure.
baby.
Yes. Yeah, I was actually, especially, because we've talked about, I really like his character. I was worried at the end that they were going to all right, well, we're done with Smee now.
Yeah.
But it looks like we got more of him to come, so that's good.
That is good. So then the kids just run off. Now, maybe I'm thinking as an adult and not thinking as a kid.
That's likely.
And I think that's what they're trying to lean in, especially in this episode. You're on a planet that's destroyed, looks like, and they're just like, oh, we're going to go run around and see what we can find.
Yeah.
Without adult, you stay. The adult who can use the Force, we've seen him move things.
You stay with the robot that has protected us on several occasions.
Yes, the two strongest
And
people here will go, and adult and robot stay behind.
Yeah.
Protect the ship. I was a little confused about that, but whatever. I think it's also like me trying to be nitpicky now. So then they find a house, which looks very similar to their homes. It even had the same mural on the wall, but it was definitely burned down and whatever. And they're talking about the tree and how big it is and how it couldn't have been there. And that's when Wim was like, "Oh, maybe we were asleep for 100 years."
Right.
But did you ever see? This episode reminded me a little bit of it. The TV series The 100 on WB.
No.
Okay, so people leave, a starship leaves somewhere, whatever, it takes place in the future. But then the starship, something happens to it, and it's losing oxygen. They're lost in space. They find this planet that can support life, but they only have this spaceship that can take them down to the planet, can only hold 100 people. Forget the whole premise, but anyway, they send 100 kids down.
Okay.
While the adults, they needed to also free up some space, less people on the ship, so that everybody wouldn't be using oxygen, whatever. So they send 100 kids down onto this desolate planet. While they're there, they discover that there are people living there and all that stuff, like natives who are still. The planet was destroyed as well, and blah, blah, blah. This just reminded me of that
Like
a
Lord
lot.
of the Flies.
Kind of like Lord of the Flies as well, yeah, where the kids were running everything. So, so when I saw this, it made me think of that a little bit. But anyway, so the same murals on the wall. Job, what's his name? Jod. I have an A in here. Let me change that. So Jod starts rummaging through things back on the ship. He finds the hollow of... the
Christmas special.
The Christmas special. And then gold. And he pockets the gold. And then 33 attacks him. And he's like, we have a thief on the ship.
Right.
And he's like, no.
The person I'm now programmed to babysit.
Yeah. And he's like, no. He's like, it's me. It's Jod. And he's like, oh, At-Atten is playing tricks with my memory circuits. And that's when he was like, wait, you've been here? You know this?
Right.
And he's now trying to dig out of him how to get to At-Atten, because he realizes that it's in there somewhere,
Right.
but he's just trying to get to it. Luckily, he wasn't tripping the right circuits.
Right. He didn't know the secret passcode like
Yeah,
Fern knew later.
like Fern knew later, because otherwise
he would have been serious trouble. Yeah.
So then the kids get attacked by other kids. This is the Lord of the Flies. What flag do you fly? It's almost
A weird question. to
It
ask.
is a weird question to ask. And then we are
I'm just
Toki.
going to start greeting people on the streets like that. Random people. What
Ra-
flag do you fly?
What flag do you fly? We are Toki. The bus that they go into and hide had a broken RX droid in it. So now you're seeing that everything about this planet is identical. So I want to find out like what all these planets,
Right.
because even this planet still had a whole variety of species on it, and the murals and people who were in, when we jump ahead a little bit, in the school,
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of different species there, similar architecture.
Now, the one thing I did read that I didn't realize until I kind of thought back about it, they do have all the same species on At-Atten on this, except for Neil's species.
Yeah, we didn't see any of Neil's species
So
on
I don't
there.
know if that's an omission or else we're going to learn why.
Yeah,
Like what happened to, I don't know. It was just an interesting omission.
it was an interesting omission. That is interesting. It'll be interesting if when they go to the next planet, which is what I'm assuming is going to happen, if there's any Neil species there. So look ahead. Next episode, look and see if we find any Neil species. On
Spot
the,
the elephant.
Spot the blue elephant. So then they go and hide, broken arc droid. All 9 planets. Yeah, okay. The enemy has what looks like an old Republic cannon,
Yeah.
which is neat. Ryan Airy said it was different. I couldn't tell that it was that much different. I have a feeling that it was obviously based off of the same
Right.
thing. Like why not? And then, so then they go back into the school. And at this point, this is when Wim starts to realize, maybe my planet's not so bad.
Yeah.
Like this world is a little different and not as fun as my boring planet is. They meet the leader, and he tells them about the fallen sanctum and how hard it is to get there. Fast forward to the end, it didn't seem very hard to get there.
They got there pretty all right.
They got there pretty okay. But if they train with them, they will take them there later to the fallen sanctum because it is so hard to get there. And then we cut back to Jod and SM-33 walking down the plank. Did you notice that 33 saw he could see the warriors through the clouds? So his one eye,
Oh.
because he said something like, "Oh, looks a lot like those I saw those warriors before when I was here."
Right.
And then Jod sees them come out. Now, this was a very interesting scene to me because Jod's standing there, and all these warriors come out at him, and he goes, all right, just
shoot me.
Just shoot me. And then he puts his hands up, and he goes down onto his knees, and you're like, okay. Once again, fast forward to the future, when Jod comes back, he looks completely unscathed.
Right.
I have a strong feeling he did not give away the gold coins to save his life.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like his
MO.
Yeah.
And to also get all the IAPI as well.
Yeah,
Like-
I'm trying to decide whether Smeebot like just went to town or else, it seems like the sort of thing that we might get a flashback to later when
Yep.
we get like the full scope of his like
Mhm.
powers or something, and then suddenly we see him do some crazy stuff. I don't know. Or else maybe we get a flashback and it turns out he like just lucked his way out of it. That's a possibility too.
Yeah. Or at the next episode when they go back to the ship, are there going to be 30 people cut in half, laying
just right there.
just right there? And they're like,
don't look at them. Don't worry about them.
what happened?
Just keep
Nothing.
walking. Nope.
Just keep walking.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see anything.
There's nothing to see. It's like Sheriff, Chief Wiggum in The Simpsons.
Yes.
There's nothing to see here. There's nothing. Oh my gosh, a horrible car crash! Everybody, look at the car crash. Look at all these dead bodies. So I would love to find out. I hope we find out if Jod did something, if Smee did something, if they did something together.
Maybe the EOP just kind of.
All the EOP just turned on them.
They had like an uprising.
An
just
uprising.
like the droid uprising
Yep.
in Rogue Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah, the EOP uprising.
Jod has a air breather. He put a breather in. All the EOP all farted at the same
That's
time, and everybody
Dutch
died.
oven.
Dutch
Boom,
oven.
right
Boom. There it is.
Nailed it.
But we don't see if he kills the women and the children also. We don't see anything. They just cut away after he says, I surrender. Then we meet the rest of the army. They start to train them to shoot. And Neil is too scared to try. He says this right here, when they're practicing the shooting, would have been a perfect time to throw out the line, you'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Yeah, that would have been a good one.
Especially to Wim, because Wim would have been like looking all the wrong places, and somebody would grab it. Oh my gosh, you'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Yeah, it would
like,
have been good.
That would have been perfect.
But no, they decided with this little blue guy, he just tells, what's her name? What's the girl's name he's talking to? I forget.
I just kept
But he's like-
writing down his girlfriend.
Yeah, which essentially. He's like, yeah, I'm a coward and I don't like all this stuff. And she's like, oh, that's cool. I'll show you the really big gun.
I don't want to shoot anything. I'm afraid. Oh,
Yeah,
check this one
out. You'll
out.
really love this. Then.
This will impress you.
Yep.
Wait till you see how big my big gun is.
Yeah, it seems like you might be compensating for something. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Just saying. I'm trying to find out what her name is. But anyway, so then they take him up, and this is another. I know it was built there to show Neil's empathy and stuff like that, but I was a little confused. They go up onto the top, and he goes, "Oh, you live on top of the school. That's interesting." And she goes, "Come get your daily rations." So he gets this slop. There's 2 orphans sitting there. And he goes, "Oh, you guys look hungry. Here, take this." Like,
Right.
so who's getting the daily slop? Only the 4 new random people that come in get daily slop, but the kids that have been here don't. Were these did these orphans? Did their parents? I mean, I'm asking questions that we're never going to get the answer to because I have a feeling next episode she's going to kiss him again. He's going to leave, and that's going to be the end of this episode. But I was just like, wait. Like, I get it. It was all to show his empathy.
I think you're right. Like we said, like sometimes I've used the term ham-fisted several times, but I think that it's just like every now and then they're just a little clumsy.
Yeah.
About like, hey, look, he's a nice guy.
Right.
Look, he's gonna do another nice thing. See, he's a nice guy.
See, he's a nice guy. I think Hana is the girl's name.
Hana?
Yeah, I think that's who it is.
Hana, you're an all-star.
Yep.
All right.
So it was like, hey, he's a nice guy. Okay. Whatever. And then the training sequence. I was hoping for like a Rocky style sequence where time would pass,
Get a montage
going, them doing like barrel rolls and
I want to
shooting.
hear a John Williams style Rocky.
Yes.
Song, like dun, 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 dun.
Oh my God, it would be awesome.
But no.
Instead, we get 5 minutes of them shooting the gun 4 times.
And then Wim shoots a really big one.
Wim shoots a big one. It's like like shooting like a 12-year-old trying to shoot a 12-gauge shotgun and just. We see that KD with all of her cybernetics is a pretty good shot.
Yeah.
She can handle it.
Wasn't there also a line about Neil spraining his trunk?
Yeah, she said. Did he say something or she said something? But yeah, that was.
He said something about like when he was doing something at home and he sprained his trunk.
He sprained his trunk. Yeah, they were doing some sport or whatever, and he sprained.
That's
his
right.
trunk.
That game that he
the slap game or whatever. Yeah. And she was like, "You must have a really weak clan."
Yes.
He was like, "Yeah,
yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do." All right, and then we get to the Neil character, find out softer side. By the way, this is what I want to tell you. Trey read an article, so he told me where to go on StarWars.com, which talks about how Neil and Smee are animated for the show.
It's puppets, right?
Neil is a head sometimes on top of the kid, Billy, Robert Timothy, whatever his last name is, Smith, I think. Sometimes he's in there, but there's also a puppeteer who wears the same costume that he does. They did a whole thing about how she like watched the way he moved, and then she tried to move the same way, and blah blah blah, all this other stuff. But the eyeballs are. There's a guy with a RC controller So they move
So
around
they're
on servos.
independent.
They're independent.
Like one guy is in charge of moving the eyes.
Yeah.
All right.
The square in the middle of the nose is mesh so that the person can see out,
okay.
so that the person inside the puppet can see out. But it's a giant, foam head.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if the ears are also animated or not. But the eyeballs, and they did do some motion capture dots on Robert Timothy's face.
Okay.
So when he is talking, it sometimes helps the eyes move and stuff. And then I think the snout is a little CGI'd as well. So it's not fully CGI'd. It's pretty prosthetic with some robots and some CGI in there.
And then Smee?
Smee was very interesting. I thought Smee was all stop motion animation.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
It looked very stop motion-y. It's almost like a marionette.
Okay.
There's a guy behind him controlling him with like sticks and stuff to be able to keep him in the atmosphere, in the area, so that they can bounce off of him. And so he's basically like a giant marionette as opposed to stop motion that I thought it was. So
I like the movement on him is really interesting and cool.
Yeah.
Whatever they're doing, it did look stop motion.
It did look stop motion to me as well. But yeah, so I do really like that. So that was neat. It's a good read. So you can go to StarWars.com and there's a whole article on how they did both of that. I'm pretty sure I gave them the due just that they deserved. And then she says his kindness says he is weak.
Or his weakness is what makes him kind. Is that
right? And but his weakness is what makes him kind. And then we also discover at the end that it's his kindness is also what makes his strength as well towards the end there. So, so then we get into where the kids are told to lead the battle, and they're like, okay. And you can see all four of them. Like Wim no longer is having fun.
Yeah, fun time is officially over.
It's over. And
go home and play Fortnite.
Yes, can I just do this for fun instead? I just want to watch my 3D Hollow comic books. So they're about to go into battle, and then they discover that it's against Jod. And he comes in, and he says, hey, by the way, I paid them to give you your Eopies back.
Yeah, all yours. Here you go.
Now,
I just want those four.
I just want those. How did he know they were their Eopies? Like, he wasn't there in the beginning.
Yeah, he didn't see
he
that.
He has never interacted with these people
it's
before.
Just, hey, these are random people. Are these, I saw on their collars, it says, if found, please return to random child army.
To, what's it called? We're Togue or something like that. Please return to the Togues.
That's right. So I think these are yours.
These are yours.
There was some mention of a reward. I don't want to be that guy.
I'm just saying.
I did put myself out there for you.
I did it for you. So yeah, if you could,
those four.
I'll just take those 4 kids.
And your hides. You said something about hides.
I don't need the hides. I just want the kids. I don't care about the hides.
How many hides are
they? Yeah, that was really funny.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, how many hides? They're like, Jod. He's like, okay, fine, let's go. Or Jod, whatever, Jod. So yeah, so it was pretty funny. I enjoyed it. You see him, you see SM, and then you just see all these Eopi walking by, and they're just like, oh, we'll follow you now. So then Neil and his girlfriend have a good talk, and he pretty much convinces her it would be a good idea to bring peace to your world.
But also, I just loved him like, you sure you can't come home with us? We have room in my house.
We have room in my house. You can play with my 2 little brothers. It'll be a lot of fun. Come
hey,
on.
Mom, this is my new girlfriend. She's going to live with us. She's from a different planet.
She's from a whole different planet, so she can't go home. She can never break up with me. She's going to live here forever.
Oh, boy.
So, look, when you were 11, you thought the same thing. I know there was a little girl that you loved. You were, oh, my God. It'd be so cool if she could move away. We'll run away together forever. Yeah. So then they convince them, oh, by the way, take us to the tower. We need to get to that tower. So cut. They're at the tower automatically. Very difficult test.
It's a tough one. We did warn you it would be tough to get there. And,
all you needed was one star wipe, and you were there.
That's all you need. That's what he actually, at the end of the day, it was like those 4 kids, and I won't need the hides, but just the star wipe.
Just a star wipe, please. Thank you.
It's Disney. We only got 29 minutes of runtime.
That's right. So then they go over to the supervisor's tower. They get up there and they notice inside there's 9 towers with the names of all the other hidden planets on it. And Jode realizes that the one that says At-Atten has coordinates underneath of it that the little owl, bat, rat, cat, ferret
whatever
creature gave him. And they're like, oh, wait, all of these planets at I2, I'm saying them all wrong, at Arissa, at Arvania, Arvin, at Okoda, all have coordinates underneath it. Let's find At-Atten. Oh, there it is.
Oh,
wait. There's a giant gash in here. It's been blown. The coordinates have been blown off.
I wonder who did that. It was me.
It was me. I did it. My captain told me to destroy it. And then in the middle of all of this, after she sees this, then that's when Fern has her
little mini breakdown.
Crisis of confidence.
Yeah, it's called that.
That's what it's called. I'd never heard it before.
Sure.
I was like, wow, that's some good wordage right there. Crisis of confidence. So she had her crisis of confidence, her little breakdown. And Wim says, you did all of this. She's like,
you're amazing.
You're amazing.
Yeah.
She's like,
Wim's
I took us to a
Be my girlfriend. Can you be my girlfriend?
You're
Neil
so
has
cool.
a girlfriend and he's an elephant.
He's an elephant.
I've been trying to date you all season. But
Come
yeah,
on, please.
He essentially said, like, Talk says how he looks up to her, and she's like, "You should have been captain," and look what I've done.
Look what, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, she has a brainstorm.
She's like, "Oh wait, droids can be tricked."
And we did see her do this to her maid droid.
To her maid droid in
first
episode 1,
yeah.
where she said, "I was never here," or "I was upstairs," whatever she said. I was upstairs.
Yeah, the memory override or whatever.
But my memory says nope. So yeah. So then she does it to Smee, and it almost works. Dun dun dun. And then we find out Smee tells everybody how crazy or how drastic the old captain was. Very One-Eye Willie-esque.
Yes.
Very even before One-Eye Willie. Treasure. What's a pirate treasure? Another pirate treasure show before that. Whatever. Where the captain kills everybody so that nobody knows where his treasure is hidden. One-Eyed Willie did the same thing. He said that in Goonies. He said, yeah, and then One-Eyed Willie killed all of his crew so that nobody would know where his treasure was. Treasure Island, I think, yes.
Might have been Treasure Island.
Yes.
The Muppet Treasure Island. Also
Muppet
another
Treasure
good one.
Island, very good. I started watching in class today. I was letting my first period class, we started to watch Muppet Christmas Carol.
Fabulous.
And then because I couldn't find Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas on Disney Plus. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Oh my God. You need to watch
Emmett
it.
Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
Emmett Otter. It's on either Peacock or Amazon Prime.
I have Amazon Prime.
Go home, sit down with little, what do you call her?
Vanjie.
No, the nickname. Stink. Do you call her
The
Stink?
Stink, yeah.
The Stink. Have the Stink sit down with you and watch Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
Okay.
It is one of the best Muppet, and it's not Kermit's in it a little bit, but it's a great Muppet show. One of my favorites. So you have to watch it.
Remind me in an hour, Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
Yes, there you go. Google will remind you.
Okay, enough.
There you go. So then he tells everybody how he killed his captain, killed everybody, and told him that if anybody ever comes sneaking around asking him about the treasure and At-Atten, to kill them as well.
That was very Back to the Future's-esque.
That was very.
Right? It's like, he said if one day some kid and a wild-eyed old man might come by and ask about this sports almanac. And if I did, like it was very.
It's like, oh no.
Yeah, very Biff.
Very Biff.
Yep. And then he gets taller as he often does.
Yeah.
In
So
these things.
and then
limb from limb.
And then KD and Wim quick hide behind Fern.
Yep.
All three of them are like, oh no. And then here comes the hero.
Here he comes to save the
Neville
day.
Longbottom.
That's right.
Throws a rock.
That is a big Neville moment.
And says, I will fight you. Will you, Neville?
You won't.
You won't. And then the Smee goes and chases him instead. Fine, I'll kill you first.
Yep.
And as he goes down, the Jedi does his Jedi ninja moves, jumps over top, and luckily the on-off switch is very
Right on the back of
easy
the neck.
to turn off. Click, which we also foreshadowing from episode 2 when
Yep.
he's turning on and off all the droids. As he's down on top of Neil's like, ah.
He's like, I did it, guys, I did it. He just
he
passes out.
passes out.
And that's how that was.
And that's how it ends.
episode
Roll
right?
credits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We didn't even get the courtesy of a jump to light speed.
No.
Messed up.
No. So, which is good because, I mean, I'm hoping we see, I don't know, we probably won't. Next thing we'll just see is them on the ship. So we'll never see what happened to the massacre at the playground, which is what I want to see. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, it was a good episode. It was fun.
Yep.
Once again, you know, and I think we just have to accept it. They're going to be 30 minutes.
Yep.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah, but you know, every new show that comes out, we gotta at least mention it. You
Yeah,
know,
we
it's
got to
just
let them
like-
know that we want more.
Yeah,
we
but-
want more.
No, it was I do like this more than the Acolyte. I think I didn't have any expectations for this one,
Okay.
so I don't know that my expectations can be unmet.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Acolyte, I was very hyped for.
Yeah, because we had all the books.
Yep. and we,
So you
know,
read all the books of read all the books of the Acolyte. So you were like, dude, the books, and I read 2 of the books, I think, and they're really good. And you're like, oh man.
I mean, even I don't know. It just this.
Well, High Republic
books.
Yeah, not the Acolyte books, but the High Republic books.
Yeah, but I
Which
don't
is
know.
what
For me, with this, it just seems like I don't know. There is a difference in this one than we have gotten. Like the Acolyte just felt
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
This
Mhm.
feels like I am able to come to terms with what this show is.
Uh-huh.
And I think part of that is like with the Acolyte, with Ahsoka, with all the other ones, we're waiting for people we know. We're waiting to see the big reveal. We're waiting
Right.
to see
Mhm.
you know how they tie it in. With this one, I don't have really any expectation for that.
Yeah.
I don't really expect them to like show us Luke Skywalker or to like
right, bring in Mandalorian
Yeah.
or anything. Like,
It's-
yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is going to be a very bottled in
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Series, yeah. Almost like, for me, the way it feels, and hear me all the way out, like when they had the new Muppet movies, Jason Segel's first one,
Right.
I loved that first one. It felt like old Muppets again.
Right.
It didn't feel like they were trying to do something. It didn't feel forced. It just felt like old Muppets. It reminded me of how the Muppets felt. And I feel this show is the same thing. This just reminds me of old Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need Luke. I don't need anybody that I've seen before. It just has that good Star Wars feel to it. When you see the houses look like Back to the Future homes or E.T.'s home, but with that Star Wars twist on it. And it's just enough Star Wars that it's awesome. It's not shoving it in your face, and it's also not, bringing in those cameos or anything like that. We don't need that, and I really enjoy it. Like, same thing, I did not enjoy The Acolyte at all. We talked about the other series that did nothing for us, but this one is fun. This is a good
fun.
one.
I think fun is the thing that sets it aside the most. Like the Acolyte had good parts and parts that I enjoyed, but I don't think I would ever have described any of it as fun.
No. You know
Ahsoka, even parts of it were kind of fun.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian had plenty of fun parts, but like the Acolyte, there wasn't fun. There was intrigue, there was interest, but like I don't know. I think fun is a good term for this one.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's definitely a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it a lot. I enjoy the pacing, even though the middle was a little slow this one, but it needed to be to build the character building that it needed to be. So it will be interesting to see if we immediately start with a hyperspace jump or if we work our way back to the ship. I have a feeling we're probably going to just start on the ship with Neil waking up in his bed and being like, or his hammock,
Right.
and being like, wait, what happened? What? And, Smee's probably just like humped over in a thing.
Yeah.
And KD said, we could go through his circuits. There's only
A couple million.
14 million of them in there. So I'm thinking maybe she's going to try to figure out a way to reprogram him
Right.
while they're on this ship. And, I mean, they don't have the coordinates to At-Atten. My guess, they're going to go to one of the other planets.
Right.
They have the coordinates to the other planets. They're hoping that they can go back into the same tower
Right.
because everything else is the same.
Yeah, you figure if this looks the same, the
Yeah.
other planets will too.
So go to that tower. Hopefully SM-33 didn't destroy At-Atten's thing in there.
Right.
And then they'll be able to get to At-Atten that way. Now, what's going to be on the other planet? Who knows? Because, the guess is that all the other planets except for At-Atten have been destroyed,
Right.
whether by the Sith or by somebody for some reason, whatever the case is. So is it going to be all flooded this time? Is it going to be like Avatar, where the first time they were in the jungle, next time they're in water world?
Sure.
So is this one going to be flooded? Is this one going to be a desert? What did they do to destroy
Volcanic,
this planet?
yeah.
Volcanic, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how the next one is destroyed or whatever the case is. But yeah, so I like it.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. So when is the next episode? Is Christmas Eve.
Yes.
So likely sometime after Boxing Day, you can expect us to come back with another breakdown of that. Make sure you check us out on the social medias. Check out all the other pods in our network.
So what you're saying is you don't want to come over on Christmas Day to record a podcast? Come on, dedication, Nick. Let's go.
I'm sorry. I'm worried if I come over here, I'll miss Santa. And I really want to give him my milk and cookies personally this year.
Yes.
Because last year he didn't eat them, and I have questions for him.
And you have questions.
Yeah.
Did you not eat them?
Did you not like them? Did
What
they not
was
look
it?
good?
I gave him cheese. Do you remember that commercial?
No.
For the Cheese Foundation, people come downstairs, and underneath the tree is 100 presents, and it's like, and they were like, "Oh my gosh!" They're like, "What cookies did you give Santa this year?" And the little girl goes, "I gave him cheese."
Oh, I do remember that one. That's absolutely right. I mean, there's always for me, it's always the classic. He does exist. They do exist.
They do exist.
Yeah. Oh man, that'll never get old.
Nope.
So anyway, check us out a couple days after Christmas. Have a happy holiday season.
Yes.
Rob is festively enjoying with his Christmas sweater.
I
over
sure
there.
am.
And from each and every one of us here
Both.
at Band the Milk Podcast headquarters, we have spoken.
We have. Oh.